morning, everyone. Welcome to Two Peas in a Podcast. Happy Monday morning. I,
Happy Monday.
I still crack up that out of all people, I'm up on a Monday morning
Listen, you.
doing this podcast. I love it. Let me get in the comments. Good morning, everybody. Just let everybody come on in. Oh, I'm sorry. Let me also do this. Justin, you at work or you home? Well, you can't be at home. You can't be at work because you always at work. So you got to be at home. Good morning, Blood Python.
Hey, my guy, Mike, what's popping?
I was getting ready to say I don't know who that is. That must be one of your people.
Yeah, he's
Blood
big in the
Python.
Blood Python game.
Okay.
He runs bloodpython.com. Some dope combinations.
All right. Hold on 1 second. So, Dre, what did you do this week other than complain about my lack of communication?
Girl, bye. This week or this weekend?
This weekend.
Weekend. Oh, nothing. I didn't do too much of anything, honestly. I just checking on snakes. Pushed out a lot of TikTok content, working on some YouTube videos. That's pretty much it. Nothing crazy.
Okay. Good morning, John.
Good morning. Good morning.
All right. So our topic for today, Dre, was your topic. So I think it makes sense that you kick it off. But I got a lot to say, I'm sure.
I can do that. So, topic for today is I chose Rex, but we gonna talk husbandry.
No, I said husbandry, Rex. It's kind of all questionable.
I mean, yeah, but I wanted a caveat in there. You know what I'm saying? That way,
cool.
People, because they go hand in hand. A lot of people assume that if you keep your snakes in a rack, that your husbandry isn't good. So, it's not always the case. Depending on how your snakes are kept. Now, personally, I just want to start off by saying,
hey,
when
Candy.
it comes to keeping Elias, what's going on? When it comes to keeping snakes in a rack, I'm 50-50. And for me, it depends on a couple of things. What species is being kept, and how is the rack set up? If it's ball pythons, for me personally, I don't have a huge problem with it. Especially for the breeders. As long as it's clean, the animal is healthy and is eating, I don't see an issue. Now, there are some situations where I'm just like, because I've seen some breeders, and they'll keep them in a rack, not a problem, but the snake literally has no room to turn around. So I do feel like that is kind of where I'm like, all right, that's pressing the envelope.
So, I think there's some animals that should never see a rack. I feel that way.
I know you'll say retics, for sure.
Well, not just retics. I don't think that any arboreal or semi-arboreal snake should ever be kept in a rack system. I think it's unfair. And let me tell you why. There are some snakes that even as babies, they always move up. And even for semi-arboreal, like I'll use my corn snake. The corn snake actually could be fine in a rack. Believe it, and you don't see people keep a lot of corn snake, and because of course they smaller when they babies, but it would be fine because this corn snake, although it is active, will very seldom go up in this tree. You'll see it every now and then. Normally that's because he's hungry, I believe. And then, but most of the time he's under the substrate. So an animal like that with a ball python, like you said, I don't have a problem with that. But a retic, I don't even think as a baby, because most of the time when you get in a retic, if you're getting a retic when you really should be getting them and it's eating good, that retic is already about 2.5 feet, 3 feet long.
Yeah. So how do you feel about retic breeders? Because I mean, with them being breeders, I would assume they would have to keep them in a rack if they have so many. So how do you feel about that? Because again, retics don't come out; they come out big already.
Right.
So how do you feel about that? And I've seen some retics in racks. I keep peaches in a rack, which I'm trying to get out of that. But how do you feel about that aspect of it?
Well, I think it's the same aspect of it I feel with ball pythons. And now being a ball python breeder, if you had asked me 10 years ago, Nicole, would you ever keep ball pythons in a rag? I would have figured out a way, because at that time I wouldn't have all these retics. I would have figured out a way to put every last breeding ball python in an enclosure, PVC, just like I got the pet ones now, right? Reality. Reality of it is, and it's no different from the reality of, let's just talk about, no matter how, unless you have a retic enclosure like I saw the other day, this one guy built for his retics, and I'm actually going to be looking him up to see if I can get him on Reptiles and Cocktails, because I want him to talk about that process and how it's going to go for him in long term. So you already saw Dougie Smith. Dougie Smith is a retic keeper who made a nice enclosure for his retic, and it's like pretty much one you can walk in, walk around in, and things like that. I have mixed emotions about those for captive bred animals, but beautiful. Now this other guy looked like he took a whole basement. I
I think
mean,
you talking about the one I was like laying down. Yeah, I've seen
yes,
that. I've seen it.
with the jacuzzi tub and everything. All I
So
saw was heaven for my retic. From
so
heaven.
so again, how do you feel like that? Because they had multiple snakes in there, and it was
Right,
huge.
but the space. So let me tell you. So
It was
one of the things
huge.
that I haven't shown people, I haven't shown it much, but you will see it. I did a video. I did do a
Hmm.
video where I'm starting to show it more. For a long time, people made you think that retics could not. They
Cohab.
were not, animals who actually would engage with each other. And I will tell you that my retics, even yesterday, we were laughing. T'Challa came out, went down into Hefe's enclosure. Hefe is sitting right there, crawl over Hefe, comes back out, and they kind of like played this little game together. And I thought they was, okay, maybe y'all trying to breed. No, not yet. But it was not that. It was, they literally was entertained by this little fact that they can climb up into each other's enclosures, right? Never thought to do that. I never thought that open both doors, and well, now I would do all three and let them just kind of all see what they would do if they would go into each other's enclosures, working out fine. What I'm concerned about in that case is if you feed them, right? If you feed this retic on the left
Hmm.
side of that great big old room, and let's say the other one did not eat its food right away, what happens? Do they go into combat? Because I think that's quite possible. Because retics, the one thing I can tell you, they totally change who they normally are. Like when when it's time to eat, it's like a drug. Like they're different. They're different. They're not the sweet little animal that even I just was dealing with a few minutes ago. As comfortable as I am with my retics, y'all seen me do a lot of things, including getting the enclosure. The day
Hmm.
that you see me getting the enclosure with a rabbit is sitting there, then you know that I have evolved into a new mindset of a retic that no one knew existed.
So my next point, because I liked the setup, but I wasn't 100% like, oh, that no, I didn't. The reason I didn't is because they were housing multiple species. There was also a berm in there. So there was two retics and a berm, and granted, the enclosure was huge, but I guess I'm not huge on. I don't like trying to force my animals to be communal, especially when we know snakes are solitary for the most part, especially that big, because again, like you said, what if that one situation just happens and you don't know what's gonna happen. What if one of the snakes regurgitates and you're not home, and then another snake tries to eat it, and then that snake gets sick? Or it's
Yeah,
just like
I'm
certain
telling
things to
you.
think about. And again, the setup minus the snakes, the setup was A1. But as far as keeping the reptiles in there, I
Mhm.
want all of my animals. My main goal is for all of my animals to go in these zoo quality enclosures, and they
Right.
can enjoy it to themselves. I want the animal to be the highlight. I don't want multiple animals now, unless they're breeding. Cool, but full
But that
time
wouldn't even
living,
be a good
no.
breeding setup for retics. So in that case. Like, you know what I mean? Like the whole,
Mm-hmm.
so it's beautiful. So I brought that up to go back to your original question about breeders, retake breeders keeping them in racks. Now, it's necessary for what they're doing.
Mm-hmm.
Right? I think most of them will be like me. Now, if you really look at, like, I'll use Reach Out Reptiles. If you look at Garrett's setup, they're not all the same. Like, he tried to give them adequate space for,
I like Garrett.
even though they're breeding, right? And most of the big breeders do. But like even now, like when I look at my snakes, they're in different size enclosures based on their behavior.
Mm-hmm.
If they were babies who were very arboreal, they got more height. If they were babies who were not as boreal as the others, I just kept the standard PVC enclosure I would use for the retakes. But like, or the berm has more height because she was a baby who was always looking like she wanted to climb. So I think ultimately, I see very healthy snakes that are in racks. I personally I'm not a big fan of retics being in tubs, but all of my retics, when I get them, I raise them in the first 3 months, at least 4 months in a tub. And the reason why I love that, I think it promotes their shedding in this household. Like, I think it does help them with the process of this is what shedding is, and knowing when they need more humidity and things like that. I don't have a problem with them shedding, and I do think tubs have great advantages for many snakes.
I personally use all of my snakes except for Luther and Khalifa because I got them both already big, but all the rest of my snakes all have started off in tubs because it was easy for me to quarantine, number one. And it was great for me to be able to get them established. So from that, it was great, but none of my snakes are going to be small enough to where they can be in a rack full time.
Right.
So my main goal is to the two racks that I have, eliminate both of them. Even my king snake. My king snake, won't get huge and he'll get a nice size. He could live in the 41 quart rack, but he's not gonna have a lot of room. And I'm not breeding. I'm literally just keeping. So there's no reason for me not to choose quality over quantity. I only have 16 snakes, and that's still a lot. But to breeders and to other people who are heavy into it, to some of the ball python breeders, my man Michael breeding blood pythons, 16 ain't nothing. When you got people out here that's got 30, 40, 50 snakes, and then babies on top of that. So there's no reason for me not to be able to do it the right way. So I don't know. I think some people just kind of, not everybody, but we're not gonna act like we don't have some people who I have a rack and they just put as many snakes into it as they can, and then they make no upgrades. They do nothing. Um, they got these small little ass water bowls, and it's just like, geez.
Yeah. Well, even with breeding snakes, the rack systems has to change based on their size. You can't keep hatchlings in a non-hatchling rack. You're not going to keep subadults in a hatchling rack. So that's, even that is the same. The thing is that I believe happy animals produce happy babies
For
or
sure.
happy engagement. And so I try to give my animals everything that I think that they need, and all of them don't need the same, even with some of the same species. And I think we have to be in tune. I think that the worst thing you can do, after this, I'm going to make sure I go to Candy's remark. The worst thing you can do is have more animals, whether you're breeding or they're pets, than you can be in tune with, right?
Mm-hmm.
And that's, I think, is most important. And so even when, if the temptation comes, because the temptation is that I want to add another, retake all the time. The reality of it is that with everything I have going on, the number of retakes I have now, and the fun and the engagement I get to have with each one of them, it's unfair to the animal to add another one because something is being taken away from them, regardless.
Got it. Makes sense.
Now Candy made a comment that she didn't have luck with her rack because of the heat take malfunction killing the ball python, and that can happen. But The only thing we can do to help prevent that is I do a once a week heat tape inspection. I check my thermostats to make sure that they're working. I use heat guns to confirm temperatures once a week. It's not something that I do every day, but once a week. I always pay attention to the snakes. But I also have these sensor pushes, and I put them in each level of my rack system. So if there is a fluctuation or humidity or heat, I will know right away. And if I'm not home, I can disengage that entire setup with this alarm system that we have that goes with it. So I think that all we can do in that case is do all we can to prevent it. But the reality of it is some of the people who have these high tech systems, had fires, and things have happened. You can just do it the best we can as Candy, as humans, to try to not let that happen. But I do feel like if it's any system or enclosure in my house that I worry the most about, it is the rack system, Candy, all day. Even when I'm on vacation, that's the one that I scan. I'm looking at constantly. I'm watching the temps, even more than the water monitor. So you are absolutely right. That's a big concern.
Most definitely. And going back to your point, I'm actually getting ready to prepare because it's about to get cold here. Um, I'm getting ready to prepare to swap out the heat tape on my racks. I think that's also something nobody really ever talks about. They get racks and then they don't talk about how often you're supposed to change it or how to maintenance it or anything like that. And I do think that is where some people run into issues because they don't talk about the wear and tear of the tubs on the rack or just the wear and tear of the tub in general. And after it rubs back and forth so long, that tub does wear the tape into where it can cause a rip or something to where that electricity can escape. And then also, no, I've talked to a couple of people this week, and nobody knows the difference between the different types of heat tape, which can have an effect. I noticed the THG heat tape malfunctions a lot more than the FlexWatt. From my experience, at least. THG is the heat tape with the copper banding on it, and
Mm-hmm.
then you have FlexWatt that has the silver banding on it. FlexWatt is what I use. It's just more accessible for me, and I've never had an issue. But a lot of people they just feel like, oh, well, it's fine. I'm not going to change it, and it's like we're running these systems 24/7. These animals have access to 24-hour heat. So just like anything else with electricity, eventually that power, that lifespan is going to run out. And if you don't maintenance it, if you don't change it in between then, and especially something this is it was rigged for us. This heat tape was not made for reptiles. We're using it 24/7 and we rigged it to work for the reptiles. So if you're not changing it, you know what I'm saying? Like I've had my racks going, the bigger one I built this year. So I'm
Mm-hmm.
not gonna change the heat tape on that one because it's doing perfectly fine. It's brand new. But my older one, I try to change that heat tape every year. So by the time fall comes, I'm swapping it back out because I I put a lot of money, a lot of time into my animals. I
Yes.
don't want to be one of those people that fall victim to a fire. And especially, my reptiles aren't in my house right now. So
I'm
that
not
bothers me even more.
emotionally set
You know what I'm saying?
placed together for nothing like that.
You know what I'm saying? So it's just
I
like,
would be psychotic after
but
an
even
event
then,
like that.
and don't get me wrong, I'm not saying that the people who have lost animals to, house
Oh no, like I
fires and
said,
heat
we
tape,
only can do what we can, right?
it's just one of those things where I feel like we need to talk more about so we can prevent that from happening because
Right.
we've seen some of these big breeders literally lose entire collections, their whole livelihood due to just a small glitch. And something that small can literally make you lose an entire collection. It's like, well, damn, like so it kind of goes hand in hand. Literally, it can be taken away in an instant. So I'm gonna do any and everything in my power to make sure that I don't lose that. So um that's why I try to tell people keeping snakes isn't always just about it's not always about interacting with the animal. You have to make sure you do the behind the scenes work so the animal
Right.
and you
That's
can
a lot.
benefit from that. And I don't think people, especially having so many things, I don't think a lot of people understand what that looks like. And I don't think a lot of people are prepared for that type of work when you get into
Right.
it, because everybody wants the biggest, the largest snake, the quickest, the fastest. But what does that look like for you? What does that maintenance look like? What does it look like when your snake is in shed, or they just ate and they don't want to be bothered, but you got to change the light, you need to change the bedding,
Mm.
you got to pull the poop, you got to check your heat sources,
I
you got to
just
pull
said
out
that to
your,
somebody
you know what I'm saying?
the
You got
other
to pull out
day.
your, you got to
Yeah.
pull out your tip gun to make sure something, or in my case, my anaconda got an eye cap right now that I tried to peel off and she bit the shit out of me.
Hmm.
But it's like, what does it look like when you have to play keeper and veterinarian and maintenance man? Like, nobody talks about that. Everybody's just talking about, oh, I got this project going. Oh, I got this going. No, cool. Why are we not talking about the level of care it takes to actually maintain these animals? And
Yep.
I think that's why we have so many people that think it's easy, because of course we post content all day, TikToks, YouTube videos, Instagrams. We make it look easy, and that's why I try to look at my YouTube videos. That's why they're structured the way that they are, because I'm trying to show people everything that nobody else is showing them and how I do things. Because my YouTube never started off as a channel for me to get paid. It started off as a documentation of my journey of keeping reptiles, and it's
Right.
gonna stay that way. So I do feel like there's so much more that goes into not even just racks, but maintaining these big ass bioactive enclosures. Like, you can put it together, but nobody talks. Everybody's like, "Oh, it's bioactive. You don't have to maintenance it." That's bullshit.
Yeah.
There's still
No.
some maintenance to a degree that needs to be done. Cool,
Well,
you
I
got
mean,
isopods.
it's definitely it's mechanical maintenance, it's cleaning maintenance.
Yeah.
Especially when you have the larger animals. I think that it's absolutely hysterical. Like, even how many times a day I have to take a shower because I might clean two retips this morning, take a shower, thought that was going to be my day, and then you come back from grabbing lunch or something, and the other three or other four use the bathroom as well. So then you got to do it all over again, shower again. Like, even stuff like that is hysterical. But to Elias' comment, Elias, that is why I tell people specifically with reticulated pythons, but ball pythons, absolutely as well. If there's a benefit to see this the person to see this owner constantly, like kind of like with lizards like to see that, even though they don't want to engage, like to see their people. So I do think that, like with retics, I tell people all the time, how you keep them when they say they're very defensive, and I'll say, where do you sit at your house? They'll say, I'll sit in this room because I work from home or whatever. Put the retic in there and with you in a glass enclosure, or I mean a PVC enclosure with a glass front, and it can see you all the time, and you'll start to get a different response. And it work every single time. Rack systems work for snakes in the sense of that they can hide.
Mm.
What they do in the wild. They can, so they're going to be defensive whenever they're exposed. Way more than when they're used to being exposed.
I will say this to Elias's point, because this is I made a TikTok this past weekend, and it was basically me like taking pride in being bit, and I want to double down on that. When my animals are defensive is when I like to hold them the most. The reason for that is because I learned the most about my animals in that situation. There is nothing, I'll say this. When I get an animal and this animal is super friendly, it makes me nervous, because that means I don't know what this animal's triggers are. I haven't seen this animal in a defensive situation yet. So when I got the anaconda and she literally bit me 7 times in 1 week. I took each bite like a champ, and I posted content. You can see she's very handleable now. So for me, it's kind of like a rite of passage. Like, oh, this thing bit me. Oh, I got the right one. Like, I don't have any animal that hasn't bit me. Luther's bit me. My Motley, like the green tree was trying. I went live yesterday, and it was perfect because I got to show people the difference between a feeding response and that he's not being aggressive or anything like that. So I go to clean out his cage or whatever, because he had knocked the plant and everything over. One of his perches had poop on it. So I'm on live and I cleaned the whole entire enclosure, and he comes striking out like 3 times. And I told people, like, all right, so this is what a defense response looks like. So people see me hold Venus often. They see pictures of him, and they're like, yo, this is a dope snake. How, I wanted to show them this is what it looks like when I have to get him out of his enclosure. So he struck at me like 3 times, and he almost got me that third time. But once I reached in there, I got him out with a snake hook. I was able to hold him, and then they saw, yo, that's crazy. I'm like, so it goes to show you that snakes are smart. It's not
Very.
always get away from me, get away from me, get away from me. If you don't know the difference between a feeding response and a defense response, and if you don't know how to work your way through either situation, you will never be a successful snake owner. And then
Yep.
given the snakes that I have and how large some of them will get, I got to be able to deal with it. So it's easy to work through it now. So even when a snake gets a feeding response when they get bigger, um it's not as scary because some of course when you have like a 10-12 foot snake striking at you, to any person, you're like, oh shit, like you got to be careful because they can do some damage. And I don't think people understand that. It's you got to learn your animal because no matter what, my burn is probably one of the sweetest snakes that I have in my entire collection. Let that motherfucker be hungry. Let him be hungry. He's literally as soon as I have to. He's the only snake I have to open his tub with the hook and walk back because he gonna come up and stand up like a cobra and he's striking. But
Mm.
literally 2 days later, he wants chin scratches and hair. It's crazy. But to Elias's point, it's really kind of about learning the animal and understanding their triggers so you can better be able to understand them and calm them down. There is nothing like having a snake that is defensive and you're able to work through that and you literally see them start trusting you. That is the best feeling.
Yeah. So, my snakes just trust me right away. Everything except for this dead green tree python. But I've never been bitten by him. I respect him. And that's another thing. Like, seriously, and this is all out, people. Dre get on me all the time. Give me the Asian water monitors, give me the Tegu, give me the retics, give me the bird. This little one over here, he is so intimidating. I think it's because he looks venomous. And his strike is dead on and it's quick. It's like lightning speed. Like it's not like these other animals, I get a sign first. There's some type of one, even a retic will bump you before it turns around to bite you.
But see, that's the crazy part. I was just telling one of my cousins they don't have snakes, and they was just like, I'm all about helping people get over their fears, and I tell people all the time, if you are going to be scared, you are not coming to see my snakes because if you hold a snake and you damage it or drop it, I'm going to jail.
Exactly.
So, I tell people all the time, and they look at me like I'm crazy, and I'm like, honestly, it's not the bigger snakes biting me don't bother me. It's the small snakes because number one, they're fast as fuck. Number two, they bite consistent. Like I'm telling you, that anaconda
They
was
on
biting me.
point. It's like
She would literally go up my arm, wham, go up, wham, and then she bit me on my elbow, and I was just like, this is like she got problems. Like, but it's always the small snakes, like my rat snake and the king snake. Them be the ones I'm over here like, all right, shit, like because and they are literally the definition of never let them know my next move because they move so fast. The big snakes is gonna telegraph it. They're gonna let you know they come another step and I'm a light
getting a
coat. You know
warning,
what I'm
right? You
saying?
getting a warning.
They shaking like they got arthritis.
Yes.
They're gonna let you know. But them small snakes,
Or the green trees and the emerald trees, like they just can also strike from different angles. Like they can come back
yeah.
around and stuff like that.
And to their advantage, you have to go at them to the front because the back of their body is on a perch.
Right.
There's no way to get around them.
There's no other way.
But I think, if you go back and watch my live and kind of see how I dealt with, because Venus was literally on the perch. His tail was on the perch. And he was literally coming out the cage. And I'm like, all right, cool. So I grabbed my snake hook, moved his head this way, and I had to grab his perch from the back. And then once he was out, I was able to take him right off the perch. And he didn't strike me not one time.
See,
So
it's easier for me. It's easier for me to let him come out on the high perch or on the hook and let him come to me. If he come out on the hook and he comes to me, I'm safe. I'm not gonna get bitten. Mm-hmm. So he'll come out on the hook and like curl up my arm. I'm safe. Head down. I'm good. But if I go in there and I just go reach, it's grease lightning. He's gonna hit you.
Any snake. My nicest snake, I'm not just reaching in there because I want them to. It just takes that one wrong time, and you like and the snake is like, this motherfucker think it's a joke, and it's over.
Right.
I'm dark meat. We can't do that.
It's 8:32, Dre, but I want to go real fast.
We started a little late. So it's okay.
2 minutes. Phil said, I suggest getting a CT monitor for your snake room electrical circuit. Yep. It was
also, there's a lot of people I know who like move into like new apartments and stuff, and they do nothing, or they don't even check to make sure that the circuit can handle what they're trying to do. So I always say it's better to be preventative than to be reactive. So handle it before it's a problem.
Yep. And I also feel that any opportunity that you can use a heat panel instead of any other type of heating system, it definitely helps the circuits in your home. The strength that it pulls from the circuits on your home is more effective for the heating system that your snake needs, and less of a chance if it's hooked up to an appropriate thermostat. And I actually recommend the thermostat over anything. I think the VEs work well too, but the thermostat to me has been like my favorite.
It has more features. I'll say this: if you have like one rack or two rack or just like a smaller collection, you can't go wrong with either. But if you want a budget and you want more bang for your buck, I would go with the VE. But if you have a large, collection, or you got these big stacks, you gotta go Herbstat, because you get more bang for your buck in that sense, because you can go up to 6 zones. One thermostat can control up to 6 heat sources. So, damn, my damn light just cut off. You get a lot more out of it. So I'm actually gonna be switching over to Herbstat. But the VEs haven't steered me wrong. And again, they are both great thermostats. So you can't go wrong with either. And if you purchase either of these thermostats, you're doing it right. You're doing it right.
Yeah, that's the most important thing. So again, another good topic. That's a good one. We're going to continue to bring these, like, again, candid conversations about things that we just don't talk about, or hesitate to talk about, or don't feel like having the disagreements about it. But we're going to have open dialogue here. We welcome you guys all the time in the chat to be open in the dialogue as well. Today is Monday, so we're now like less than 2 weeks away from Tinley, so I'm super, super, super pumped. A lot of y'all getting y'all merch this week. I don't want to hear nothing. I'm not mailing you. I'll just give you yours when we see you in Tinley.
You ain't gonna hear that anyway.
Yes, I would have. If somebody else, all right, you know what? I'm not going to even bring your shirt. Everybody who I'm mailing your shirts, wear your shirts, and let me see if I don't hear nothing.
Now that's different, because you just told me you was bringing my shirt. So don't lie on camera. But see, I said something to you last week. So I'm gonna keep it cool. Don't tell me you're gonna bring it and then not bring. That's so
I'll
black.
I'll bring you yours.
That is so black of you.
I'm actually heading to. I'm super black now. I'm Antiguan black. My skin peeling black.
Nobody care. Nobody care about you out here living your best life. Whatever.
You see how I got away though? I was like, oh, we gotta go.
Oh, by the way,
go ahead.
So this week I'm gonna try my best to get our podcast up on the other streaming platforms. That way it's easier, because I know there's still a lot of people. They're like, well, how can I watch it? I'm like, gotta go to Lady T's Exotic. I'm doing it that way because I'm still trying to. I know you at 1,000, but I'm still trying to help you get some more subscribers.
But that's the way they're supposed to come.
Right.
But we can stream it through. I think Mike was saying through Spotify.
Yeah. So I'll make that my personal project this week since I'm on vacation, and I'll try to get all of that done this week.
That was supposed to be his project in the beginning of this, but anyway.
Listen, fellas, y'all know anytime y'all dealing with the opposite sex, things don't always go as planned. They change because again, this was supposed to be a pre-recorded podcast. Let's not go there. But anyway,
I ain't gonna say no more.
That is a good idea. So I'm gonna try my best to get all of that. Apple Podcast, Spotify, and there was one more.
Oh my God! Look at the comment. I can't.
Which one?
Look, it's on the screen.
That's real disrespectful.
Too funny.
I'm not Gershon, damn it. It literally got my name on the screen. You know what? I'm gonna follow. We blocking them. We ain't taking this
You
type of
might as well get
hateration.
prepared. Y'all on
Nah,
your way. You
Gershawn.
might as well get
Gershawn is my
prepared.
guy, man. That's my bro. Good
Oh
guy.
my goodness. That's hysterical. John cracking up.
Hey, Keisha, chill out. Chill out. Don't do that. It's too early for y'all shenanigans. Y'all doing me like, you know what? I'm not listening to none of y'all. Nicole, it ain't that damn funny. Like, calm down. Yo, man, listen.
Wake Gershon. Somebody should wake Gershon. Wake up, Gershon.
When I tell you the first year I went to Tinley and me and Gershon were both there, people was confused as hell. They was like, oh shit. Like they really thought we had a doppelganger.
I'm not trying to get booted. You wouldn't get booted.
Nah, you good.
You would not get booted. You
better than the people who literally thought I was Gershon. I was wearing this shirt, DW Exotics. And people literally still thought I was Gershon while standing next to Gershon. It was just like, that's crazy. I guess when you black with locks, you just look like every other brother. Gershon is like 4 or 5 inches taller than me. You know what I'm saying? His locks is longer.
Honestly, I wouldn't have known that until I saw y'all standing side by side too. I did not know Gershon was that tall. So
that's shame.
So in the people's defense, I didn't know.
Nah, that's a matter of fact.
Keisha said we love you both equally. In real talk, you don't look or sound that much alike at all. Just enough for the comparisons to be hilarious.
Matter of fact, people don't know me, Gershon, and Keys. We got a little music group we made up in Tinley earlier this year. at the auction, you know what I'm saying? We got a picture like this. You know what I'm saying? Nicole was on the other side of the table going crazy. You know, hey, I'm telling y'all now, if you go to the auction, be prepared for Nicole. I'm gonna sit at like a whole other table.
It's a party. It's a party.
It is.
It's
but
a party. It's a party. Don't
they
invite
need to put
me
up
to the party if y'all want. Candy, tell them don't invite me to the party if they want me to not to act up. Like if I'm coming to the party, I'm coming to the party.
They need to put up a sign and be like, "Do not get this woman no liquor," because she was up at the auction like. As soon as they be like 3,000, she was like. We gonna go live, Keisha. Me and Gershon gonna have to go live. But yeah, she'd be like, as soon as it was out of her price range, she put.
I can't.
It was over. She was acting a whole fool. But I'm telling you, the auction is a good time. I'm excited. I can't wait.
Yes, it's going to be a lot of fun.
I went live on Instagram for the auction last time because it's y'all think I'm bad with my cousin. The auction is like the perfect place for me because it's all types of crazy, adult jokes. Last year they was asking somebody, they had this like handmade, like painted dick. And they was asking whose dick it was. So, I mean, you just got to be prepared for stuff like that.
Right, be prepared for anything.
And guess who was bid on it? Nicole was over there like.
No.
Her husband was like.
Yes. Yes, all the time. Yes, all the time. It's like, Lord. No. And then somebody was like, we got another bottle. He like, no, please. No more bottles.
Hey. Man.
Oh, we're going to have a good time. I can't wait to see everybody.
Oh, yeah. It's going to be a good time
God.
for sure.
Well, I have to get to the post office. Dre needs to start his real work day.
I am on vacation.
Oh, right. You on vacation. No wonder you so
my birthday tomorrow. Yes, 30-30.
Yes. Oh, happy birthday to Dre.
I appreciate that.
Yes.
I ain't going to do nothing but go to sleep.
That's the only day I can't say mean things, so. Oh.
Now, y'all got proof. I'm not always mean to her. She be running me through the ringer. You know what I'm saying?
No,
she's supposed to be a servant of the Lord. And this is how she
No, I ain't never claimed that. Don't you do that. No, you do not. I love the Lord. I do. Yeah, he ain't giving me no serving jobs. Giving me nothing.
Serving that liquor
My husband don't even think I'm gonna pass the conceal the carry questions by the time he get the answer.
Listen, I got mine while the getting's good. You know what I'm saying?
They gotta find 5 friends to say that you don't have a temper. Oh yeah, all right, this is gonna be hard.
But last week she bopped somebody in the nose because they said they was gonna steal a retip. You can't do that. You can't do that.
Oh, I wish. Yeah, okay. Oh my God. Thank you, Candy. Candy says she know my heart. Hallelujah.
No. He said does he? He know mine too. And I've been, we're not gonna talk about that. I'll lose followers.
Oh God, I can't wait though. I can't wait. We're gonna have a really good time. So everybody who's there, make sure you say hello.
Please.
Just remember.
Hi, Desert. What's going on, bro?
His little ignorant self. Hey, Tim.
Whatever.
All right, y'all. So we're going to exit out now. We are our hard. We went a little longer than usual, but that was a funny one. Stay tuned for next week. We're going to let you know what next week's topic is. I have a few, and I get to pick this time, so I'm gonna pick the topic for next week. But we appreciate you all. Thank you for all the positive feedback on this podcast that we get. We really do enjoy it. It doesn't seem like an 8:00 Monday morning podcast.
It doesn't. I don't have a problem getting up either. And as y'all can see, we like to have fun. So, we definitely appreciate the support.
Right, do the face, Trey. Do the face.
Well, every time I see you now, I'm going to do that. I see you at Tinley. I'm going to be like, Nicole!
There's a picture somewhere where I'm in the exact position.
I've probably seen it. Hey, matter of fact, Antoine was on here. He could vouch for what I said at
Oh my
But we're gonna let them go.
Bye, everybody. Have a great day. Have a great week.
Happy Monday.
Peace.